Hi guys. Hello. Oh, get out of here, kitty cat. Go. Welcome to tonight's live. I'm going to be doing an author talk with our friend Carmen, and we're going to be talking about her newest book. Here she is. Hi, Carmen. She's going to just send a little request. Come on, get out of here. Go. My cats are trying to get to the treats. Hold on, I'm waiting for Carmen to request to join. Hold on one second. You guys just keep adding on and I'll see if I can get her in. No requests. All right, Carmen, just click the little request to join. Here it is. Here we go. Accept. All right, cool. So hopefully that works. Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday evening. Hi, Carmen.
Hi, how are you?
Good to see you again, my friend.
Too.
Been a minute, but you've been busy.
I know. It's so good to see you again.
Yeah, it's lovely. Thank you for coming on again to talk about your newest book. I've been having fun reading it, and then also, of course, like talking to my friends about it, my daughter, and it's fun. Good. So, let's start with an introduction because some people might not have seen the previous author talks that you joined. They can always go back and watch it because we have that saved on both our Instagram and on our YouTube. But for anybody that's new, I'm Danielle. I'm one of the co-owners of Amityville Apothecary. And Dina is off at her Meet the Teacher night for her son. And Carmen is a wonderful astrologer. Carmen, you want to talk a little bit about your experience?
Thank you. Yes. Well, I started, doing astrology when I was 16. And what kind of got me on the path of wanting to learn more about myself and other people was I had a strange experience with a glowing ball of light in my doorway. And after that, I just taught myself astrology, got my first book and fell in love with it, and it validated my life. So it became my passion, and I started doing consults when I was 19. And I've always enjoyed researching specifically the 8th and 12th houses. Those are a lot of research I've done for 30 years on trauma and spiritual abilities for people that have planets in those two houses. I have some books out there on that. And then I love to write. I just love to teach astrology on a basic level and to really get into what is our soul mission and how we can use astrology to understand ourselves and others better and to tap into our strengths and to heal ourselves and grow more resilient. And so I'm all about the nodes of the moon, to me, are the most important thing in our birth chart. And so when Bernie Ashman and I decided to write this book together, he's an astrologer and friend of mine for many years. And we decided to just make it a very basic guide that anyone can read. Like, you don't have to be an astrologer to understand our book. So we write in the same kind of way. And it's kind of funny because the editor that edited the book said that she really couldn't tell when it was Bernie or me writing what chapter, because we write very similar. So it was really cool. And I've been getting out here and really marketing the book, and want people to know that, to find out more about your soul mission, you just need your basic birth chart, and you can get that on astro.com. It's free. You just need to know your date, month, year of birth, your exact place of birth. Time of birth is so important, and because that'll really show what house the nodes of the moon are in. The north node is your soul mission this lifetime, and it's it looks like headphones with the top up. And then the south node is your past lives. It's what your soul's already learned, and it's that upside down. And you can find that in your wheel. You can see what house it's in, what sign it's in. And then in our book, we break that down per sign for all the 12 signs flipped, and then each house. And so it's
you just covered a lot. So if there's some folks that are new here, let's break it down a little bit, because I followed everything that you said. And since you're so steeped in it, it seems like it's so natural. but I want us to just simplify it for those
Sure.
folks who may be new to astrology so that we can just really make it quite simple.
Sure.
I do agree with you and your co-writer. Like, it's very consistent in, you know, and very easy to read and very reader friendly. So, you know, what you said, how you became fascinated by astrology, I also, it's one of my early passions.
Yes.
And I feel like it's the blueprint of your soul.
Yeah.
It's similar to a snowflake. Everyone has an energetic timestamp the moment they incarnate in this lifetime, right?
Yes.
So talk a little bit about that, like how Dina and I have the same exact birthday. Our birthdays come
Neat.
this week,
Neat.
on the 30th, but she was born at like, we're about 2 hours apart from each other. So
Okay.
so we're both Libra suns. We're both Leo moons.
Nice.
And she's I'm a Sagittarius rising and she's a Capricorn rising.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But you know, where the planets reside in different houses, that all has impact on, you know, the overall persona and areas of influence and importance in one's birth chart, right?
Sure. The way I explain it for people that have never, you know, had a chart done before, or you may have, it's the way I explain it is it's a map of the soul. So, and it's energy. Astrology is energy, just like everything has energy. You know, when you do tarot, when you do different, you know, pendulums, you know, it's all about tapping into the energy. And our body is not a, you know, we're not a physical body. We're a soul. We're an essence. And so at the moment, the exact moment, time, place of your birth, if you imagine that you're looking up at the sky, okay, and this is the easiest way I know to describe this. This is what I'd say on all the podcasts. If you're looking up at the sky, all of the planets are in a certain star constellation at that moment, time, place of your birth.
Yeah.
And there's 12 constellations in astronomy. There's 12 zodiac signs, and this is in Western tropical astrology. It's based on the seasons of the year, so it never changes. And so we can see those planets in each constellation, which means on August 29th, for instance, anyone born on August 29th, the sun will be in Virgo, the constellation of Virgo, no matter what. Right. For a whole month, you know, we know that the sun's in Virgo, but the time and the place can change what house it's in. And the houses are, if you imagine, when you're looking up at that sky, astrologers break the sky into 12 sections like a pie. Okay. And so we break that sky into 12 sections. We see the planets are in each of those constellations. Yes. And it's like we take a picture of the sky and we put it on a piece of paper. Yep. And that piece of paper is a wheel. And it's all symbols. It's symbolic. So there's little cheat sheets you can get, you know, on astro.com. Let's say, okay, what is that? Okay, that's the sun. That's Venus. That's Mercury. So you got to kind of know the symbols or have a cheat sheet to know.
You include a lot of that in here.
Yes, in the
yeah.
Intro. Yeah. We talk about how to get your chart if you don't have one. Yeah, all the symbols. Yeah.
Yep. So these all represent the different planets, guys.
Yes.
All the different symbols for each planet. And then each planet has its own zodiac personality.
Yes.
So the sign is the personality. And then the house is the area of influence in your life, right?
Yeah. The houses, each house represents an area of life. So it's important to have your exact time of birth, because if you don't, we'll know what energy you have in your personality, how you think, how you love, how you show the world, but we won't know what area of life that energy is going to play out in. So like, if you don't know your time, there's things that we can do called chart rectification. It sounds all fancy, but all it means is we try to narrow down your exact time of birth between 2 hours. Okay. So we can get between 2 hours and we can really get a history of your life. You know, I mean, I've helped people that didn't know what time they're born. So many people write me all the time, and I help them. And I ask them to send me a picture of their face, because how you physically look and certain features can help us nail down what your rising sign is.
Oh, wow.
And the
Wow.
yes, and the rising sign is your physical appearance and how people first perceive you and when they first meet you. So
Right.
I ask people, when people first meet you, how did they perceive you? You know, and I try to get to the bottom of, if we can figure out someone's rising sign and they don't know their time of birth. You know, I have a lot of people that are adopted and things like that. They don't know when they're what time.
Right.
They just know the date and year and place. And I can get a pretty accurate chart. And how I know if it's accurate is if it validates the person.
Yeah.
If they're like, this doesn't sound like me, then we don't have an accurate chart.
Right.
Because 100% of the time, your birth chart, it will resonate with you. You're not going to have any doubt. It's not going to be,
Right.
it's not that we're making up, you know, we're not just doing an in-depth psychic reading. This is a science, it's energy, and it's 100% accurate. So if it's not feeling right to you, that means we don't have an accurate birth time.
Right.
And so we kind of narrowed that down. I had a lady send me her picture. She thought she was Capricorn rising. We messed around with it a little bit. And every time I looked at her picture, I saw Scorpio. And when we finally kind of did her chart, she said, this sounds like me. You know, the first time she's like, that's not me. When people meet me, she's like, that's me, you know. So we kind of went from there and we're able to validate. And the good thing is no matter what, if you don't have your time, you'll still know based on your day and year where the nodes were, what sign they're in. That's important.
Let's talk about what a node is, because a node is not a planet. It's actually a point.
Yes, it's a
right?
calculation. It's
Right.
I don't want to like
Right.
scare people off, but
Yeah.
it is a calculation that astrologers use that has to do with the moon.
It looks like,
and that's why
this, guys, in your chart, this is the north and south node.
Yeah.
So,
The north node is the tip up and the south node is upside down.
like
So
horseshoes.
when you look at it, when you look at your chart, a lot of programs won't have the south node in there. They'll just have the north node. So what you need to remember is it's always going to be in the opposite house and opposite sign of the north node.
Okay.
Just like polar opposites.
Yep.
It's going to be like, so if your north node is Aries, your south node is going to be Libra. If your north node's Libra, your south node's Aries. So it's always going to be in the polar opposite sign.
And then there's 6 combinations.
Yes.
But it could be, so mine's Scorpio and Taurus. So my north node is in Scorpio and my south node is in Taurus.
Me too.
Oh, see,
Yes.
you and I have a lot of similarities. I first discovered you because of the work you did with your 8th house and 12th house stuff, because I have a lot of planets in there. But it, you know, so it can be north node Taurus and south node Scorpio. So then your north node is the work that you're supposed to do here during this lifetime.
Yes.
That's what you're supposed to learn for your soul's growth and evolution, right?
Yes.
And then the south node, the way I think about it, is kind of like the toolkit that you came into this lifetime with, like your incarnation. This is all the experience from all your past lives, all the knowledge. Like, so being that Taurus was my south node, Taurus represents the earth sign that's very stable and material comfort. And
stability.
Stubborn and likes the stability. So it's like wealth accumulation as part of my goals.
Doesn't like change.
Yeah.
See, I can go through each node pair and tell you what their key learning is.
Well, let's do that. That sounds great. Yeah. So anybody can go onto, like, so you said astro.com. Cafeastrology.com is another one. So you can type in free natal chart and you guys can look up, you need your location of birth, your date of birth, and the exact time of birth. And then it'll generate a natal chart for you. And you're going to just look for your north node and your south node. And then that report should also indicate which house it's in. So you want to, is that the best course? Like maybe to start with Aries, I guess, that combo?
So the Aries Libra nodes are the nodes of relationship karma. So everybody I've ever done charts for, and all these 30 years I've been doing this, I started seeing patterns. And the patterns would always play out the same for certain node patterns. And so, for instance, if we're here to balance the nodes.
Okay.
So we've already mastered the south node, but we are very stuck and comfortable and safe and cozy in the south node. So it's hard to release those traits because it's the unknown. The north node is a little scary for us because our soul doesn't know how to do it and we don't feel comfortable doing it yet. So
Right.
life experiences trigger us into getting into the node. And I can talk about that after the pairs, and that has to do with the Saturn return.
Oh,
The Saturn return is what awakens us into our node. So I'll get into that in a minute.
that
But
makes a lot of sense. So, okay.
yeah.
We
So
won't get ahead of ourselves, but that's
yeah,
good.
it's all exciting. I love it. So Aries is known as a free spirit. Aries are all about, what about me? You know, what about my goals? And they're very independent, self-reliant, fierce, you know, resilient. They don't like commitment's hard because they like their freedom and they don't want to have to depend on anyone else to survive. They're very much, you know, self-reliant people. Libra is the opposite of that. Libra is all about having a partner. They rule marriage and partnership, the sign Libra. So they want to have people in their life. They're all about, how can I please others? What do other people need? And sometimes they neglect their own needs, okay, to please their partner and their loved ones. So Libra and Aries nodes are relationship karma. That means that there's always going to be lessons with commitment, compromise, um, your needs, selfishness versus unselfishness, you know, all these kind of balancing, you know, just like we look at, you know, Aries, Libra sign traits. You're balancing this relationship stuff. And I'd say 99% of the time, and I mean, and it's a pattern I see, anyone that has the Aries, Libra nodes, it could be North Node Aries or South Node, you know, Libra, flip. They usually have one divorce and more than one marriage. I have rarely in all my years of doing charts ever met anyone with those node pairs that did not have relationship, at least very intense relationships. Typically there is a divorce and a remarriage. Sometimes they don't remarry, they divorce, but they don't ever remarry because it depends on the nodes, you know. So if it's Aries North Node, it's like the universe, they always tell me they feel like their relationships are blocked from finding love until they get older.
Okay.
And it's because they've already mastered partnership. They have to learn to be on their own and not to take help from others and to survive on their own 2 feet. So they are learning that, which can be hard, right?
Sure.
And so, and then if Aries is the south node and Libra is the north node, I find that they have trouble committing or having solid relationships because they're used to being free.
Working
So
in partnership. Yeah.
yeah.
Or, yeah. Considering another person, because usually they're like, this is what I'm doing. Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
so both of them are destined to have relationships, and they learn about themselves through love, through partnership, through compromise, through community, you know, being you know, balancing relationships. That's their karma, is relationships. Right. And then the Taurus Scorpio nodes, and one of the cool things, these are the nodes of healing. And these are also the nodes of complete transformation and rebirth. Yep. And so these, I'll be honest, out of all the 6 nodal pairs, which I'm going to talk about, the most difficult nodal pairs are the Aries Libra nodes and the Taurus Scorpio nodes. They're the most challenging for people because there's a lot of change in things they have to go through to get into their node. It's a little more difficult, and when I start talking about the key patterns of each node pair, you'll see why. So think about it. Relationship karma. Relationships are hard, right? Love, marriage, commitment, all of that, betrayal, loss, you know, everybody wants to have a, you know, healthy relationship. But then this Taurus Scorpio nodes, change is not always easy for them. And so, and they have a lot of crisis in their life. There's a lot of unexpected loss. It's the nodes of death and rebirth. So typically people with these nodes typically lose someone close to them at a young age. It's that Scorpio Taurus polarity. So for instance, like you and I have the same nodes. So we're meant to embrace change, let go of Taurus energy, which is our past, and allow ourselves to take risks.
Yep.
Because Taurus does not like to take risks. They want things planned. They want to know it's going to work out, and they want to feel very safe and comfortable. They don't want to go without. So
Right.
these are kind of the nodes of survival, because it's like Maslow's pyramid, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The Taurus Scorpio nodes are very much about survival needs, you know, having shelter, having money to pay your bills, having food, you know, those things. But then we're trying to reach the top of the pyramid, which is self-actualization, you know, like cosmic consciousness and all this stuff. So these are the nodes of spirituality.
Yeah.
You know, you're meant to be spiritual. You're meant to go through a lot of change in your life, a lot of trauma, even, and unexpected things that forever change you, like a phoenix bird, right?
Yes.
And it's interesting because if parents, if people that do their chart, if you do the charts for your children or your family members, almost 90% of the time, one of your children will have the flip nodes of you, opposite.
Oh, that's interesting.
I see it in family charts all the time. So like my daughter is opposite of us. She's a South Node Scorpio, North Node Taurus.
Oh.
So she picked me as her mother because what she's mastered, I'm here to master. What I've mastered, she's here to master.
Right.
So we teach each other, and we're very different. And I laugh because she's not comfortable with Taurus, and I'm not comfortable with Scorpio.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so that's a big challenge. So you can learn a lot from your children that have your flip nodes. I call it the flip nodes because, you know, it's very much a lesson to learn. You know, they push your buttons. They can do things that you want to know to do. And a little example I talk about that really got me into my North Node in Scorpio is I was going through a really hard time in my life. It was like 7 years ago, and I was asking myself when I was walking, like why is this happening to me? Why is this happening in my life? And this voice came in my head and said, "How else will I make you a Scorpio?" And I started laughing, and then I started crying, you know, and I'm like, oh my God, yeah, because if you don't have pain, how do you grow? And unfortunately, Taurus Scorpio nodes have to go through some type of pain or discomfort, emotionally, physically, mentally, you know, in life. And so that makes us stronger. And so these nodes can be a little bit more challenging because it's about taking risks, not being afraid of change, not being afraid of going, you know, without things or struggling, and fighting hard for what you want and working hard, you know, and it's the nodes of business too. You know, Scorpio Taurus are very business minded. So a lot of people with the Scorpio North Node are meant to own their own business. They're meant to be their own boss. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
This is resonating so much on so many levels, but I think when we talk about the Saturn return, we'll get into this, but this definitely resonates a lot as it relates to my,
and then the next nodal pair, you know, Gemini and Sag. So Gemini and Sag to me are the fun ones. I mean, they're the fun nodes. You know, they're all about learning and knowledge and communication. So they like to talk, they like to learn, they like to socialize, they like to network, they like to go to school, take classes, get certified, they love to travel. These are the nodes of travel. So if anybody with these nodes I've ever met has like wanted to go to Europe, or they like to be on the go and they're restless. You know, they feel like they're meant to be doing something, but they don't always know what it is. It's that energy of exploration and adventure. So they are constantly, they need to explore the world. They need to open up their mind and learn new things and travel and talk to people and all that. So those nodes to me are pretty fun, right? Those are nice.
They're actually quite similar as you break it down like that. Totally. It's like higher learning in so many different forms, through experience of travel or through communication with other people in different cultures. For sure.
And they're the nodes of knowledge seekers, but they're also the nodes of freedom. So they really need to feel free. So they need to be with people that allow them to be who they are and not try to control them and things like that. Because they need to be able to get up and go on a trip, be trusted to, that, hey, I'll be back. But they might like to be single because they don't want to feel like they're going to let anyone down, because they want to be able to act in the moment on their impulses when they want to go on a trip or they want to do something or move across the world.
Yeah.
And a lot of them end up living in a foreign country or in a different place from where they were born. That's very common.
Yeah.
And with these nodes, the pattern I see is that often they marry or get in relationships with people that are from a different culture, country, or background than them, a religious background, someone very unique and different than how they were raised. And they're attracted to people that are very unique and different from them.
Yep.
So I see that a lot too, with those nodes.
That makes sense.
And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
And then Cancer, Capricorn, these are the nodes of family karma. And this is a crazy story. I mean, I did an event last year. I'm going to be doing it again in October. And it was for its launch code for the planetarium in St. Louis. And they invited 8 astrologers. I think there was like 7 of us. And we were doing like back-to-back mini readings for people coming in from this big event.
Wow.
And everyone that came to my table, it was just whoever was open, they'd walk up,
Yeah.
and we were popping them out, for like 4 hours. And everyone that was coming up, I'm okay, when's your birthday? I'm pulling up. And everyone that came to my table had the Cancer Capricorn notes.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, okay, this is weird, and I'm like looking over at the other astrologers, later I asked them, like, oh no, I had a variety. Everyone with those nodes. And it's weird because I understand those nodes a lot because my mother has those nodes. And I've seen that pattern in her life. She's never left her hometown. And she stayed where she was born to help her parents most of her life. And so I started noticing everyone with these nodes. I'll ask them, have you taken care of your parents? Have you moved your parents into your home? Do they live with you? Have you helped them when they got older? 99% of the time, yes. Like they freak out. My mother's living with me now, or my dad is 89 and he's living with me and I'm taking care of him. Or they feel responsible for their parents in some way. And it doesn't matter if they can be the youngest or oldest. It doesn't matter. Even if they have siblings, they're the one that the karma tends to come to them, that they have to be the responsible one.
Wow.
To take care of their mom and dad or their grandparents, etc.
Okay.
And that's just something I've seen through doing charts. I never read it in a book. It's just something I've seen with all the people that I've met with those nodes. And they're learning about being vulnerable and nurturing. So Cancer is all about nurturing others. Right. Capricorn is about, taking practical care of people, working hard, having a career. So these nodes are about balancing your home and your work, your career and your family. We all are in this work-life balance. You hear this stuff, we're work-life balance, but these folks that have the Cancer Capricorn nodes have a lot more challenges in learning that has to do with pursuing their work and their life mission and career, getting recognized, being successful versus being a mom, being a dad, taking care of the kids, taking care of their parents, focusing on the home, cooking, cleaning, laundry, all those things, sure. Doing homework with the kids, and so that's their main learning to balance and family karma. Yeah. And that could be healing something that happened to them in their childhood. A lot of times there's a wound. There's a wound there, and they're meant to heal it. And so that's what I see with those nodes.
Neat.
Yeah. So Cancer Capricorn, what's the next? Leo Aquarius. Yeah. Leo Aquarius to me is the hardest for me to explain. The only way it's a very lighthearted. The way I explain it is they're here to become to express themselves, to self-expression. They're here to pursue their artistic and creative talents, to be innovative, creative, artistic, to allow themselves to shine and get recognized for their abilities, their either their intellect or their artistic and creative abilities, whether it's acting, theater, drawing, music, whatever it is. Leos like to be on stage. Yes. They're both very social. So these nodes are all about networking, they benefit through their social connections. So it's about getting their hopes, wishes, and dreams, and achieving their hopes, wishes, and dreams. And how they do that is through other people that they connect with.
Yeah.
Through, oh, I met so and so at a conference. Oh, they know Bob who has a job opening, and then they get a job. So they get success through connecting with people. And these nodes are the fun nodes to me. They're a little bit happy-go-lucky, but they're also the nodes that have to do with independence and being a free spirit as well.
Yes.
Having their independence, autonomy is very important to both of them. Not feeling tied down, being able to do what they want, and they love to connect with people.
Well, it's so interesting as I think about the traits of those signs. Like Leo is a fixed fire sign, so that's ruled by the sun. So really, many Leos, like, they are the center of existence, and the world revolves around them at the core. Whereas Aquarius, it's fixed air, which is thought, and also a fixed sign, but they think out of the box in a progressive way on behalf of humankind as a whole. So they're both very social, but an Aquarian will be very, like, out of the box and quirky. I refer to them as aliens because it's like the fixed air. So, like, sometimes you're like, are you even on this planet? Because they're just so unique, and they don't want to fit in. So finding that balance between, because Leo can sometimes be vain, whereas Aquarians, like, I don't need to conform. So finding that balance between within society and finding that interesting.
They're both kind of known to be friendly. If you think, friendliness is a Aquarius thing, but they're detached, and they get labeled as emotionally cold because you're right, they're air, and out of the 3 air signs, they're the hardest one for me to feel. Like, if I meet someone and I can't connect with their energy, I know they got Aquarius. Because it's a high octave. It's like a high level air. Like, Libra is air, but they're social, they're relationships. They like to have love, and then Geminis are talkers. They love to communicate. So
very social.
But Aquarius is like a different. It's like, air's there, but you can't feel it. We know we're breathing it. You can't touch it. But
it's
Aquarius
like computers projecting the future.
Yeah.
It's like a little, I agree.
Aquarius, every time I write a book, the hardest chapter for me to write is the Aquarius chapter. And it's because I'm so fire and water. I mean, I'm emotional. So it's hard for me to get my energy connected to that, because it's very aloof. And so that's the thing with Leos. Leos are very friendly, but they like to be in love, and Aquarius likes to, they like to think, and they like to be friends. They like to date their friends. They like to have acquaintances and lots of people, but both of them like their freedom. They don't, they're a little bit, really, they're leaders in many ways, because they both will stand up for what they believe in, which is cool. I think that's neat.
Cool.
And so Leo, you can see how Aries, Libra, Taurus, Scorpio is a little bit heavier of an energy, when we're going through these. And then, Gemini, Sag, and now Leo, Aquarius. And so then we got Virgo. I'm right. Yeah. Virgo, Pisces.
Yes.
This is the 6th one, right? I got them all. I didn't miss anything, did I?
No, this is the last one. This is interesting, this combination here.
So Virgo, Pisces, my husband is a Pisces North Node, South Node Virgo. I have almost all of my good friends are these nodes.
Okay.
And I'm a Virgo stellium, in my birth chart. I'm a Virgo Sun, Rising, Mercury, Venus. So
wow.
I draw a lot of people with these nodes, and Pisces is on my 7th house cusp. So they click with them. I click with them.
Right.
And I know what I can see, what it's like for them. So these are the nodes of service. Okay. So, and it manifests in different ways. So for Virgo, if your South Node is Virgo and your North Node is Pisces, you're meant to be spiritual. You're meant you're meant to learn to relax and
Okay.
enjoy life and meditate and have a spiritual path. You need to do something that is it's kind of like you're meant to unwind and not be so perfectionistic and work. You've already been a worker bee as a Virgo South Node. You've been a doer. You've been efficient. You've been concerned about health, diet, having a routine, having structure.
Regimented. Yeah.
Yes, having things organized. You know, as Virgos are classic and can get stuff done. They can multitask.
Yeah.
But they're used to always working and doing something.
Yeah.
So people with the North Node in Pisces, they often tell me that they feel like they're being lazy if they're
Right.
not doing something. And I'm like, you're not meant to. You've got to learn to just relax. Like you've already done the workaholic thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
It's like
I'm
you
like,
have to give yourself
yeah,
permission to relax and go with the flow. That's,
yes,
you have to release. Yeah, that's
yeah.
interesting.
So
Huh.
I'm like, just, you know, and they're meant to learn to be calm and to withdraw from the stress of the world. They're meant to do spiritual service,
Mm.
where when the nodes are flipped, Virgo is known for practical service. So that's kind
Yes.
of the difference between the 12th and 6th houses as well. And then, you know, the Pisces Virgo. Virgo's practical service, Pisces is spiritual service, and learning to balance that. These are also the nodes of having boundaries and protecting yourself from and doing self-care,
Mm-hmm.
because Virgos tend to neglect themselves and give to others in practical ways, you know,
Okay.
work wise, practical life. So Virgo's all about getting up in the morning, eating breakfast, taking care of the dog, going to work, getting your tasks done, come home, you know, eat, sleep, go to bed, have a routine, right?
Yep.
And help people along the way in the practical way.
Yes.
Pisces, a true Pisces is known to be opposite of that. They like to wing it. They can be a little bit disorganized. They
Okay.
can be perceived as, you know, lazy, you know,
Mhm.
because they're not, you know, they're not earth, they're
They're
water.
the dreamers.
They're the dreamer,
Yeah.
they're imaginative, they're escapists. They want to escape from the practical
They
world.
have
Like the
blurred
practical
lines.
world. Yeah, the practical world's hard for them. So imagine yourself node as Pisces, and
Mm.
you're a dreamer, and you were spiritual in past lives, and
Yeah.
you didn't have to be in the real world.
Oh,
And then this life, you have to learn to survive.
right.
So it means you have to work. You have to make money. You have to do all these mundane, practical things that you don't like or care
Right.
about. You're a minimalist. Like you don't like money does not bring happiness, but you have to survive, right? So
Yep.
these nodes can be hard sometimes
Yeah.
because they have to learn to balance, you know, these two different natures, and also they have to learn self-acceptance and not to be so hard on themselves, and worry is big with these nodes. They can both be worriers
Right.
either way. And also another big thing with these nodes is there can be
Okay.
illness,
Okay.
sickness, you know, maybe when they're a child or when they get older, they can have some type of medical karma, medical things that influence their path, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to finding why they're here. And I see that a lot. Like they have a major, you know, thing in childhood, or maybe they have anxiety, maybe they you know, have some, you know, strange, you know, allergies to some foods or whatever it is. And
Huh.
you know, different things are very sensitive to the environment, these nodes. And so that's typical. I see a lot of them struggle with medical stuff at some time in their life, and that kind of gets them on their path, you know,
Right.
through dealing with the medical system, and maybe even looking at alternative health, you know, being a vegetarian, their diet, their yoga, you know, whatever they can do to be natural to heal themselves. They can be
Right.
into, you know, all those things, natural healing and herbs and flower essences, all that. They might really get interested in that stuff.
Right.
um, but
That's
those are the
interesting.
real quick kind of, you know, the nodes of service is what I call the Virgo Pisces nodes. So
Cool. Well, those are very interesting descriptors for the pairings.
yeah,
It makes a lot of sense.
yeah,
So, talk to me a little bit about the
yeah,
Saturn return. First of all, for the folks who are on, talk about what the Saturn return is
yeah,
and how it can serve as a trigger. Because I once you said it, I was like, that's fascinating, and I could
yeah,
see indicators. So go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. when I really first started noticing this was probably 12 years ago, 10 or 12 years ago. I always knew the Saturn return, was important, and I would, we always talk about it. But what it is, guys, is the planet Saturn is known as the planet of karma, and it's the planet of our past lives. It's responsibility, it's duty, it's work, it's discipline. And it's when you think of those things, discipline and karma means that you have a lesson to learn. It could be good or bad. It could be positive or negative, right? And it's something we need to balance. So the planet Saturn takes around 27 to 30 years to return to where it was when you were born. So that's why we call it, when a planet returns, that's what it means, is that it returns to where it was when you were born in your birth chart. And it takes Saturn that long, and it's about age 27 to 30. Everyone on Earth, regardless if they believe in astrology or not, I always tell people they are in their Saturn return. And if you talk to them, and you can even Google this and research it, most people during age 27 to 30 report that that's one of the most challenging times in their life. There's a lot of change. It can be positive, but it's a lot of change. Yeah. You could get married. You could have your first child, which I did. I had my first child in my Saturn return. My husband married me when he was in his Saturn return. He's 5 years older than me. And all these major life things happen. You get a new job. You're struggling to figure out what you want to do with your life and your career. And you may move across the world, change jobs, get married, divorce. All these major life things typically happen during that time. And sometimes we can feel lost. We're like, what are we doing here? For the first time in our lives, we don't even feel the North Node, until our Saturn return. We are living in the past. Yep. So up until age 27, we are all cozy and living in the South Node. That's all we know. So we were Taurus girls. We were living in the Taurus Node, and that was our life. Comfort, stability.
I was on like autopilot, honestly. Like I did my studies. I went to school. I did the activities. I went to college. I dated. I got my career. I got married at 28. Had my son at 29. Married at 27. Vaughn at 28. Haley at 29. And 2 weeks later, I turned 30. So it was all like
everything.
And but it was very much like, get the job, get a promotion, get a raise, do this. Like it was very Taurus.
Oh yeah.
Very
earthy, making your list, checking off your goals, wanting to be successful, wanting to make money, it was natural. And so the Taurus, we were living in that. And then, certain life events happen throughout our lives to kind of start awakening us, but we don't really start moving towards the North Node. We don't even feel it till after age 30. Mm-hmm. We are then start getting pulled towards it, and we're like, whoa, wait a minute, I feel different than I was. Yep. And people are like, oh my God, what happened to me? Like I look in the mirror and it's like I'm a different person. Like you're like, I don't even recognize myself. Like you feel, it's so hard to explain in words, because it's like a death and rebirth emotionally.
Because it's like everything that I felt was important was no longer like a priority.
It don't matter.
I don't really care about like the money, because like I don't feel fulfilled. Like I just, and I couldn't put my finger on it. Yeah,
absolutely. It doesn't bring happiness. And you start questioning, well, what is the purpose of my life? That's the Scorpio Taurus nodes. Why am I here?
Dark night.
What is the purpose?
Soul.
Yeah, it's a dark night of the soul.
Numerous dark nights of the soul, and a lot of disruption.
Yes. And that absolutely, I feel you. These nodes, these nodes are real, and you start, when we start moving towards it, I realized looking back that after age 30, all the things that happened were leading me into embracing being a Scorpio. Yeah. And I always thought, there's no way I'm ever going to be a Scorpio, because I was so opposite of that. Yes. Like I thought it hurt. I couldn't even feel that way. Like I was too sensitive. I was like, I'm a 12th house, 8th houser, but I got a lot of Pisces in me, a lot of Virgo. So I'm like, how am I going to be? Like I had no boundaries. I always forgive people. I always let them come back into my life. Like I never had that clear, I'm done with you. Like my Scorpio friends cut people off and they hurt them, they're done. They're like, I don't trust them.
But it's
I was never that way.
it's so funny because I have a stellium in the 8th house, which is ruled by Scorpio. And
Yes.
Pluto is conjunct my sun and my midheaven.
Woo, that makes you Plutonian.
Yes, I'm very scorpionic energy. And just yesterday I bought a piece of art from Amy Zerner,
Okay.
who's a wonderful spiritual artist and creator.
Yes.
But it is the goddess of transformation.
Oh.
And she's like, this is Scorpio, you, my dear. It just embodies, the art embodies.
I love that.
Scorpio and transformation and death.
Yes.
And rebirth. Because now, with the amount of tumult in my life, I mean, like now I embrace it. And I had an early mentor of mine, and she said, you know, Danielle, your soul contract signed on for this.
Yeah.
Like this is your soul's growth and your soul's evolution. So like before you even got here, your soul signed on for this growth and these lessons.
Yeah.
And that's I think what's so fascinating about the nodes, because to your point, how can you learn to forgive someone unless they're going to have a very big unless they're really going to cause you harm.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's not pleasant, but we grow. We learn from that. We grow from that. Exactly.
Because you know what Scorpios have? They have very strong boundaries, and that is what, you know, Taurus is. You know, they're ruled by Venus. Taurus is they're grounded in earthy and very calming energy, but they also, I don't want to say they lack boundaries, but they get hurt easily. They take things personal too, and they take it to heart, where a Scorpio is able to have they're able to self-protect.
Right.
They can protect themselves. And so that's what 8th housers have to learn too, is to protect their energy, protect themselves from others that might hurt them, and then forgive and heal and rebirth and let things go. Letting go and forgiveness is part of the Taurus Scorpio nodes.
Wow.
Too. Letting go, fully letting go and healing and forgiving.
And those are painful life lessons normally, but
I'm still going through it now. I'm still going through it now with people. People are my greatest fear, is how people treat me. And I still am on a daily basis learning to have boundaries and to stand up for myself.
Right.
And that, I feel, is like the Scorpio North Node.
Yeah.
Getting comfortable defending yourself in a kind and in a firm way.
Right.
Not abusive, not toxic, but in a professional kind way, like drawing boundaries. Like I don't appreciate you treating me that way, or your tone of voice and yelling at me. I mean, I have people that project on me a lot. And that's a 12th house thing, like being a mirror for people. And I realize, what is it about me? They just unleash on me, and I'm like, peaceful. And I have to learn to protect myself. And I know that it's my energy, and I try not to take it personal, but man, it hurts. It hurts.
Yeah.
So I'm still learning. I'm not in Scorpio yet, guys. And I'll tell you why, because we are not fully in our North Node until after our second Saturn return.
I was just going to ask, how does the second Saturn return play in, which is the next 29 years? So it's like a big gap of the core of your life. You're approaching your second Saturn return.
So right now, you know, I'm 49. Okay. So until we're 57 to 60, we're not in our node fully until around age 57. I'll tell you this, it's amazing. Everybody's charts that I do that are age 57 and above, I've done charts for people that are 70s, 80s, 90s. They are in their node. Okay. They're in their node when I meet them. So the lesson is this: it doesn't matter what we do. We will get in our node regardless.
Whether we like it or not.
The universe will knock us down, and I've been knocked down before, and it will get you there. You either go naturally, and that's what I recommend. I tell people, get your kids' charts done. Find out their nodes. You can tell them at a young age. At 18, they got relationship karma. I would want my daughter to know.
That's my daughter. Haley has Aries.
Yes. And you can educate them, like, and they can be ahead of the game. And then when they know, okay, I need to read everything I can about the North Node. That's what I'm meant to be. And that's what I wish I would have known when I first started studying astrology, how important the node was. I mean, I didn't know.
Fascinating. Yeah. No, it's an important topic to understand.
Yeah.
So
And so I love it. And now I'm like, okay, what can I do? What would a Scorpio do in this situation? And something recently, a couple months ago, something happened to me at work, and someone was a little bit hurt me and kind of overtook a conversation with me, and I was caught off guard. I didn't defend myself in the moment, and afterwards I bawled my eyes out, and it really hurt me, right? And my daughter, who's my opposite nodes,
yeah,
she's a little Scorpio South
yeah,
node, she said, Mom, this is what you should have said, blah, 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 and said it perfect. I'm like, what? Why couldn't I have done this in the moment? She's just very matter of fact, like Scorpio. She wrote down exactly what for me to say when I talk to this person again.
yeah.
And I did.
And
And they apologized to me.
good.
So like,
So this is
that's how your
how
kids that
we
are
learn.
cliff notes can
This
help.
is yeah. This is how we. I'm gonna look up what my son's north and south node is. I'm not
Yes.
sure, but this is interesting.
Yeah.
So, you know, about Saturn, I used to dread Saturn the worst. That was like my most disliked planet
Yeah.
because I have Saturn conjunct my
Oh.
moon. So it's
Oh.
like my emotion, and they're in Leo. So like
Oh.
it's the planet of structure and
Yeah.
restriction in the eighth house. It's brutal.
That's very intense. Anytime Saturn conjunct the moon will kind of make you feel more like a Capricorn moon. And my daughter's a Capricorn moon, and Capricorn moons, they feel things very, very deeply, but they don't know how to always express their emotions because it's so deep, and they can, go through these very harsh kind of feelings, like they don't know how to express it, and they can repress,
Right.
and then the eighth house makes it doubly that way.
Yeah.
Like, and so Saturn conjunct the moon is all about discipline, emotional bound. It makes you kind of guarded and cautious,
Right.
emotionally, to trust people and to be vulnerable with people.
Right. But the
Because
sign of Leo wants to feel big and emote big, but
it's
then it's
blocked.
like restricted.
It's like Saturn is there to help tone you down a little
Right.
bit. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a bad thing. It's just helping you stabilize yourself a little more, but it gives you wisdom,
Well,
because Saturn brings wisdom.
that's what I was
So
going to say. What I've come to learn about Saturn is it's the great teacher.
yeah,
So it is the planet of discipline and structure. However, if you do the work, you get rewarded.
absolutely.
So I find that when Saturn returns back to the position it was at when you were born, it's like an energetic reset to align you with your true north. So if anything's out of whack, it's gonna shake that up and like make you focus on correcting that. So it will eliminate it, or it will bring it to light, or it will create chaos there so that you will bring that back into alignment. So it's like the more in alignment you are with your truth, it'll be a more gentle return.
Yeah.
And then I think for the second Saturn return, I hope also if I do all my work.
Yes.
The
second one can be, let me say this. If you went through a hard first Saturn return and made changes and actually grew, had to, whatever it was, challenges.
Yeah.
The second one's a lot easier. But if you didn't have a lot of changes, I found with clients, it's rare. But once in a while, people say, well, no, nothing really happened to me at 27. If there's no big deal.
Right.
Then their second one kicks their butt a little bit more. And I believe that we choose that. There's a reason that they chose to wait till later, right? Or whatever. But if you look at ages, a lot of people between the ages of 57 and 60 have heart attacks.
Wow.
There's a lot of people, you can Google it. I looked it up and I'm like, that's very interesting, because that's the second Saturn return, because it can be powerful. But I always laugh because everybody is in that Saturn return, and they're like, I'm already doing it. Oh yeah, I already learned to have boundaries. I already learned I'm supposed to be artistic. I already know this, Carmen, and I'm going to do this. And that's what happened. And I'm like, I love it because they tell me. And then, and then my grandfather, for instance, he's in his third Saturn return. He's 89.
God bless him.
And it's like he's just, you know, peaceful. I mean, so it's like he already kind of mastered what he's came here to do, you know. So
That's cool.
I meet people at the different age periods. So I know no matter what, guys, by the time you're 57, the time you have the second Saturn return, you will look back, and if you read the book Astrology's Magical Nodes of the Moon, you'll realize that you are in that node, and that you finally kind of mastered it. You know, I feel like I'm becoming more and more like a Scorpio, even though it's being forced upon me. And it's like it's getting forced upon me through my everyday experience,
Yeah.
you know, through my interactions with people, through my choices,
Yeah.
through my ability to not take things so personal, you know, and to have boundaries to, you know, be, you know, Scorpios are meant to be businesslike. They're
Yeah.
meant to be, you know, very self-protective, and it's the only thing they do need to learn is to trust others, you know. So Taurus is, I feel like we trust people, you know, but
Yes.
I think I'll honestly say I think I trusted people too much. I trusted,
I
I
definitely
needed
do.
to see people how they really were, not with rose-colored glasses. So I had to learn to be a little more skeptical and a little bit more cautious with opening up to people too quickly, or sharing myself. And that was hard for me because I was friendly, and but how am I going to be a Scorpio, you
You
know?
were no
And
book. Yeah, I get
and
it.
I attract all of these friends I have been Scorpio. And I remember asking my friend Des, who I worked with years ago, I said, how do you do it? Like, how do I cut people off that are toxic to me? I feel bad for them, you know? And she's like, you just do it. You're done. And I'm like, but I can't, you know? So, and now I laugh because, you know, they just know how to protect themselves,
And it's
you know?
quite liberating when you do. When
Yeah.
they're toxic and you eliminate, it's empowering.
Yeah. I mean, I just love, I attract Scorpios. And that's another cool thing, guys. When you know your node sign, the North Node, South Node signs in the houses, you'll start to notice that a lot of people that you attract into your life, friends, family, coworkers, relationship partners, they typically have that energy of your nodes. So their sun, their moon, their rising sign, or stellium in Virgo, you know, and they may even have the flip nodes of you, right? But typically they have that energy. So I always draw Scorpio and Tauruses. And it's so funny because, like, in my office, like last year, everyone that worked with me was a Scorpio and a Taurus. I was the only one that wasn't.
That's
And I'm
why
like, you can't make this up, right?
you
And
are
so
honorary, I guess, in your note.
I know, right? I'm
Wow.
like, this is like my everyday learning is Taurus and Scorpio balance, to balance these energies, right? So we're here to balance the energies. You don't have to give up your South Node, because that's your soul. That's what your soul has mastered. That's where you feel at home.
Yeah.
So when you're stressed, and you're gonna retreat back into the South
Yeah.
Node. You know, that's where you're gonna go back and feel comfortable. And
Yeah.
but I think it's just a journey, but don't beat yourself up, because you're going to get into your soul mission no matter what, because you came here to master a certain thing. You came here to do something special.
Right.
So everyone has a soul mission, and astrology is just a tool of self-awareness thinking that can reveal to you what that soul mission is. And that's why, you know, Bernie and I wrote this book. Very basic. It's a short read. It's not really long. It's not
Yeah, it's
complex.
great. It's
I
like
don't
a
like
great
getting
guide. I
into,
love it.
thank you. I don't like getting into I like teaching it on a basic level, because you start talking about, you know, aspects and degrees, people start, oh, you know,
It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah.
I'm not going to do that to people, because I want to make it so understandable and basic that everyone wants to learn about it.
This is a
And
key indicator, and you break it down so beautifully.
thank
I
you.
really thank you. Please thank Bernie. And you
Yes.
know, I always enjoy talking to you. You
Thank
make
you.
astrology tangible and easy to
Thank
understand.
you.
Yeah, we carry your books. We're thrilled to. So
Thank you.
folks can order your book online. It's very
Good.
good. And
Thank
you
you.
always have an open invitation if you want to come to New York. You know,
I
we can
would
have.
love to.
Yeah,
I'm going to have
absolutely.
a book. I got a new book coming out next August, so I would love to.
Yeah, well, let's plan it, and we'll have you do an event at the shop, and then
I
we can
would love
broadcast it.
that. I'd love to see you in
Yeah,
person and meet you again.
that would be wonderful. So thank you so much. Stay in touch, and anybody that has questions, let us know, and get your copy of the book. through Amityville Apothecary, and Carmen will be in touch soon. Okay,
Okay,
keep in
thank
touch.
you. Thanks for having me. Have a great
Thank you.
night, everyone.
You too. Take care, hon.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.